Hello and welcome to episode 44 of Weird Mind Newsroom, and I apologize in advance because this one is probably going to be a lengthy one because we have a lot of new releases, we have a lot of trailers, and we have a fair few of decent news stories. So without further ado, let's get into what will feel like an endless video.
Look, I don't go to Chinatown, I don't drive Wacos, and I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
So initially, there was 12 new releases this week, but I reduced down by 2 because 2 of them I didn't know too much on, but I'll delve into later. So we start off this week with the big blockbuster film release of the week, where we ask you, when you're feeling a chill and it does not look good, who are you gonna call? Why, it's the Ghostbusters, of course, as we have received the all-new 5th, but canonically 4th entry in the series with Frozen Empire. This will follow on from Afterlife that will see the Spangler family return to the Big Apple to take on the role of the new Ghostbusters. But when a mysterious artifact caused the dawn of a second ice age, not the animated kind series though, because that stuff's still good, you will see the Ghostbusters, young and old, team up to save the world from an icy grave. Now the reception of this film has not been the most well received, as well as some of the concept and action at the beginning, as well as the newer cast have garnered praise. The full film is bloated with too many characters, it's too serious of a tone, that comedy felt is really off the place to be needed, and a bit too much of nostalgia bait is making it feel all over the place. But if you're over some busting ghosts, then you can catch this new film now in cinemas. Now the next week we take it down the coast, have a few laughs and shit, because we have a bit of an action and hard-hitting punches and drinks, as we have received an all-new reimagining of the classic 80s film of Roadhouse. Now this falls on Elwood Dalton, a former UFC middleweight fighter who was given a job at a Roadhouse bar on the Florida Keys that will discover things are not as safe as easy as they seem. Now reception on this one has been modest at best, with praise for his performance of Jake Gyllenhaal and surprisingly Conor McGregor, even though a casting I still think is very odd. Although some see as a decent respectful upgrade to the 80s classic, but the use of CG in the case of some casting like McGregor's is still a bit critiqued a fair amount. But if you want to get a drink, then you can check this one out now on Amazon Prime. Now I ask you, tell me your sins, because I know you're a big sinning machine. As we have an actress as well has become a bit of an appealing eye-candy actress as to play, as they've got an all-new horror film of Immaculate. And this will follow Sydney Sweeney playing an American nun who's invited to a remote convent in the Italian countryside. But a warm welcome soon turns to a nightmare when she discovers her new home harbors a sinister secret and many unspeakable horrors. Now reception of this has garnered a little mixed, a bit more of a positive outcome, with praise to Sweeney's performance, who helped save the film's concept for feeling all too familiar and generic, and probably worth a watch. And if you want to see the horrors of religious motive, then get down on your knees and confess your sins and check this movie out now in cinemas. And the last of the films for this week, and also dipping its toes into the horror genre, this one appeared on my radar only about 2 weeks ago when the trailer first released, and this comes to us in the form of a new found footage style horror film of late night television with Late Night with the Devil. This film, told in the form of a found VHS tape, which follows the recording of a late night talk show from the late 70s, and it's the host of Jack Talroy, played by David Dastmalchian, who's trying to boost ratings for his show, makes a very special Halloween episode to remember that may turn a bit more sinister and bring terror into the home of millions of Americans. Now the reception on this one has been universally praised as of writing for this concept, its scares, and its performance, especially for the lead. And if you want to see why it became a lost tape in the first place, you can catch this new horror film now in cinemas. Now onto TV, it's time to get your nostalgia at the ready as we return to the series that was a staple of 90s superhero cartoons, as we have received a follow-on continuation with the series of X-Men 97. Now this will be set after the events of the original series, and we'll see the team of mutants work together to keep the planet safe and from danger while dealing with the loss of their mentor, Professor Xavier, or of course Professor X. And the reception on this series so far has been very well received for its first 2 episodes that will bring basically a sense of being well made, it's finely written, the action is great, it visually upgrades well, it keeps close to the charm of the original, and also to bring them to the point, ever since the trailer dropped, the series garnered the usual stigma, this is woke trash, as per usual with anything from any franchise or just anything in film in general. Mainly either case it stars a woman or stars have been something with diversity, and it's a case that this was never the focus, and in most cases X-Men's been like this for a long time. But if you want to return to the bygone era of 90s animation, you can catch the first 2 episodes now on Disney Plus, with a new episode releasing every week. The next TV series show of the week is coming to us from the guys that gave us Game of Thrones, and also the guys that ended Game of Thrones in a disastrous way, as they've taken a new novel series and given it the adaptation treatment, as we have received the new sci-fi series of Tree Body Problem. This series will follow scientists of Ye Wenji, who after witnessing her father's murder, soon becomes conscripted by the military to help in their scientific research in a secret radar base, where her fateful decision will beam across time and space to the present day scientists who now have to face humanity's greatest threat. Their reception of the series so far has been decently received as a well-made adaptation of a series of books originating from China and made for the Western audience, and if you want a new sci-fi escapade to check out, you can do so right now on Netflix. And now to give clarity on the last of TV shows from this week, this initially released all the way back in the US in late July of last year, but for some reason took so long to release over here that we finally got it this week. And this is of course with the new video game adaptation series of Twisted Metal. And this series is set in the distant future where the world suddenly one day just went to shit, and soon cities were walled off due to anarchy and other concerning elements. And this series will follow John Doe, a milkman with amnesia who is tasked with delivering an important package across the country while surviving against a barren wasteland, a crazy lady who becomes his partner in crime in this journey, and dealing with some unhinged lunatics, including a sadistic clown and his ice cream truck. Now this series has garnered some decent reception from the faithful use of some of the characters in the original video game story and the likable cast and enjoyable story. And if you want to check this out, it's available to stream the full series now on Paramount Plus. Now moving on to video games, the first of this week is taking us back to the days of the horror series that helped shape the franchises that defined a generation with Resident Evil and Silent Hill with a new fresh coat of paint, as we have received an all-new addition to Alone in the Dark. This new game will have you playing as either Emily Harwood, played by Jodie Comer, or private investigator Edward Carnby, played by David Harbour, as they travel to Deserto Manor, a home for the mentally fatigued, to investigate the disappearance of Emily's uncle, Jeremy Harwood. Now reception on this has been decent to mixed at best, with praise to the performances of the leads, the story elements and the puzzles, though some of the combat, its replay value and the elements of scares were a little bit more critiqued. But if you're up for a bit of a twisty mystery in the big old manor, you can play it now on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5 and PC. Now we have seen many characters in the Mario universe get their own games, Luigi's exploring all these mansions, Toad finding treasure, and Wario striking it rich, and mini games galore. And one character that had received one game 2 decades ago is finally getting her chance once again in the title role, as we have the all-new adventure game of Princess Peach Showtime. This will have you playing as the princess herself as she helps to save the Sparkle Theater from the evil grape and the sour bunch, and using the theater guardian of Stella in a wide variety of outfits and stages to get through to save the day before the curtain falls on the show and the theater. Now the reception of this game has been well received, with many praising the concept, the power-ups, the story, a kind of positive game for young women to play, and a lot of the appeal, with some critiques aimed at some performance issues and some mixed opinion on replay value. But if you're up for a show that you can get your hands on, you can play it now on Nintendo Switch. Now just in case I round up the other 2 ones I missed out on, there were 2 other games that came out this week. The first one was Dragon's Dogma 2. This game is a sequel to the original. It garnered some good reception at first, but now has been getting heavily critiqued online because of the sudden appearance by microtransactions. So basically, Capcom hasn't learned their lessons. And the other one is a new PlayStation game of Shadow of Ronin, which basically create customizable samurai and I think some era from the late 19th century. So that's the other 2 games I skipped out on. I didn't know too much on them, but that's the basis I can get from them. And finally, wrapping up the overly extensive list of new releases for this week is with a bit of some new music. Around the time the boys of Danny and Brian were releasing their new album of These Nuts to the World, their backing band and the Groove Crusaders of Canada of TWRP were back with their own new original album in the form of Digital Nightmare. This will be a full new album after the release of a small EP in the late summer that consists of songs like Desire of a Human Touch, The Love That No Matter What Will Never Leave My Coding, or of Never Stop Loving You, and in case as well as some other stuff of all about the wide world of the internet. And you know, all of course bowing down to the greatest form of creation in the form of Grob. Praise be to the mighty Grob. Now if you're interested, I think you should check these out because they are a very underrated band and I think should deserve a lot of love because they always bring out some bangers. You can listen and get a physical copy on their official website. I know as well as some other boys' fresh selection of savory goods I will be getting an album of as well. And with all of that, that's all the new releases that we have for this week. just like the new releases, there's an extensive amount of trailers, so we're going to start off this week with the end of the stream with a foray into the world of sci-fi that wants to be a bit like the sci-fi that I'll be talking about in the next trailer. And this of course returns to the world of the film that will not leave my social feed for the last 3 months. That's coming to us from his praise of his work, and that's of course with the second part of the new space saga from Zack Snyder, which is Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. And this will follow from the events of the original, and we'll see Korra and her new formed team return to her home planet and form an army to fight against the impending invasion of Motherworld from destroying their livelihoods and restore peace to the universe, led by a guy that essentially is just a Nazi dictator. Now, I've mentioned in the past, I have watched Part 1 a few days after Christmas, and will say I found that part underwhelming. It was a bit too most of me, new characters, and essentially just the whole ordeal. Like, we don't know too much about them, and in case if they get killed off, I don't really care about or feel anything for their killing off. It's like, oh, they're dead? Okay. And in case that, it's just an extensive, this stuff, basic development besides very little backstory, we go to a new planet, meet a new character, move on. In case in the mix where they try and slow down of slow-mo, and hopefully this one may improve on it, but it's hard to say. But we will find out soon. It's releasing in a month's time in April 18th on Netflix. Now, on the other side of things, of a galaxy far, far away, and a series that's been getting ridiculed lately from its trailer because this new series being made by a woman, sexism is still large in the modern day era. We are going way back to before even the events of discovering a small boy with powerful levels of midichlorians and loved the pod race, and the age of the Republic, as we've received a trailer for the newest series from Star Wars with The Acolyte. Now, this series is set in the century before the Phantom Menace and will follow a respected Jedi Master investigating a series of deaths and crimes that will lead him to coming into contact with a former Padawan learner and will learn and reveal some sinister forces are beginning to rise. Now, the likes of Star Wars has been intriguing to me as of late. The concept of this series in general has sounded really cool, with a mystery element. There's a feeling of like a Dawn of the Sith or more action-based force use and hand-to-hand combat. From what I got in the trailer, looks really exciting and enticing. I'm looking forward to checking this one out, and you can as well, as the series drops with a 2-episode premiere on June 4th on Disney+. But if sci-fi in the cosmos is not your style, and rather an action film in a post-apocalyptic wasteland more your taste, then you're in luck, as we have received a new trailer for the upcoming release of the newest spin-off prequel in the saga of the Wastelanders with Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. This will tell the story of the founder of a character from Fury Road, and is played by Angelina Jolie, and set about 2 decades before the events of Fury Road, as we learn of her past from being taken from the green place of many mothers into the hands of Warlord Dementus, this played by Chris Hemsworth, and his biker horde, and must fight through an armada, 2 warlords, including Morton Joe, clashing, and find a way for her to get back home. Now, I'm sorry for this, and I've enjoyed the Mad Max films, and Fury Road, I will say, kicked ass and kind of deserved those Oscars. And hopefully, it will be worth a wait to see this film play out and turn out great, and we will find out soon when this film releases on May 24th. So now it is time for a new look at a film version of an action TV series from the 1980s with 2 of the biggest stars in the industry today, with one of course performed at the Oscars last week, as we've got an all-new trailer of the concept piece of filmmaking process off a look with The Fall Guy. This will follow Ryan Gosling playing Colt Seavers, a stuntman past his prime, back in a film as the extra for famous actor of Tom Ryder for the film of his ex's Jody Marino's directorial debut. But when Tom goes missing and the film was in front of being shut down, Colt must become the hero, find Tom, and save her debut film. Now, I've seen plenty of press and excitement for this film, and has garnered some strong reactions so far from the premiere at South by Southwest last week. And I'm looking forward to checking this one out, and you can too when the film drops on May 3rd in cinemas. Now we have a bit of a take on a classic children's book getting the film treatment, as we have received a trailer for the film version of Harold and the Purple Crayon. Now, the film follows Harold, all grown up in this story, and has used his magical crayon fused with the power of creativity and imagination to enter into the real world and cause hijinks with it there. But when the crayon falls into the wrong hands, it will be up to Harold and his friends to save his world and the real world from total destruction, all by the power of imagination. Now, I've never read this book, of course, and when I initially saw the poster and seen Zachary Levi as the main character, I was wondering if this was a Shazam situation again, or a weird studio decision just to age up the character or something like that. But then the trailer came out and I was like, okay, it makes more sense. It looks like a harmless film, but if you want to check it out, it will be available in cinemas from August 2nd. And now we are going back into the deep confines of space as we have the next trailer that will show that no one will hear you scream as we received our first look at the next film in the long-running franchise with Alien Romulus. Now this film will be set in between Alien and Aliens and see it as a group of young space or colonizers who, while scavenging a derelict space station, will come face to face with the most terrifying life form in the universe. Now, in amongst all of the extensive amount of familiar territory of recent memory, and if this turns out to be set on the basis of Sevastopol and the basis that is set between Alien 1 and 2, and in coinciding with Alien Isolation's story, then I am all in on this. And the trailer so far looks enticing, it looks scary, it looks threatening, and looks like that kind of claustrophobia feeling I'm all for this. And we do not have to wait too long as this film will be dropping in the cinemas on August 16th. And this is surprisingly the only game trailer for this week's trailers, and it's taking us to the world of superheroes as we've received a new wartime game in the form of Marvel 1943. The Rise of Hydra. Now this game will have you take on the role of Captain America or as the Black Panther, as well as another US soldier or a Wakandan spy, as you must team up while not trying to kill one another as they liberate the forces of Hydra from the occupied city of Paris. Now the base of this game, I have no idea this would be like a strategy game, an action-adventure game like an Uncharted kind of thing, or like a RTS or any other form, but visually it looks amazing. It's all done on Unreal Engine 5. It's being held by a writer who did the Uncharted series, and from the tech demo I seen and the presentation a couple days ago, it does look very enjoyable and I'm intrigued. Now, it is a little bit while away as this game won't be releasing on the consoles until sometime in 2025. Now, we did not just receive one, but two different trailers at the same time for an upcoming new season of the newest entry in the story of conflict, bloodshed, possible boobies, and dragons, as we have received trailers for the second season of House of the Dragon. And this will follow on from the first season where the late king is dead and his wife of Allison has made her son the reluctant king of Westeros, when honor was meant for his daughter Rhaena, and from betrayals and murder will lead to a deadly game and a deadly dance of dragons where all will be left is fire and blood. Now, after the end of the original series left people with a bad taste in their mouth, this new series has brought back appeal. I will say season 1 is pretty good. This season does look really exciting, and now we have confirmation. We do not have to wait too much longer, as this new season will be releasing new episodes starting from June 16th. Now another film releasing very soon as well, and also being garnering some very strong praise from last week's South by Southwest, as we received another new trailer for Dev Patel's directorial debut and Jordan Peele's producing film of The Monkey Man. This will follow Kid, an anonymous young man who sets on a journey of revenge and built-up trauma to hunt down a group of corrupt leaders who were responsible for the death of his mother, and in the process becomes the savior of the poor and the powerless people who are also tormented by the corrupt leaders. Now, it is definitely one of those films that is similar in style of the Wick genre, with this series and stuff like Sisu, and from the strong positive reception and footage shown, I'm very excited for it. And you can check this out just in about 2 weeks' time on April 15th in cinemas. Dale, we've got trailer for a new show. I thought this was the last of trailers for this week, but we're getting a little bit crazy and wild as his waiting is up, and we have finally received a trailer for the sequel to Beetlejuice. Now, the film will see the three generations of the Dietz family unite following an unexpected tragedy, and still haunted by the demon, Lydia's life is turned upside down again when her rebellious teen daughter Astrid, in this played by Jenna Ortega, discovers the muddled version of the town in the attic and accidentally opens a portal to the afterlife, and when trouble starts to happen in the real world and the afterlife, it's only a matter of time before that mischievous demon of Beetlejuice returns to cause a bit more mayhem. Now, I think from the very small snippet we got from this film, it looks like we may be in for a bit of a treat, and it looks like that charm is still there. And in case the demon looks like he's had a bit of fun, and hopefully will be fun, but not to allow that a certain politician got up to during the musical version of Beetlejuice from last summer. And the demon will be seeing you real soon when it releases in cinemas on September 6th. And now finally we come to the last trailer of the week, unless there was some other ones, which I believe there was one, but that's next week now, as a new look at something I was expecting a bit more time before we would see anything on this. But out of nowhere we have received a first look trailer at the upcoming series of The Penguin. Now this will be set in the same universe as the most recent Batman film, and see Colin Farrell back as Oswald Cobblepot, and see his rise to become the new powerful head of the crime syndicate in the city of Gotham after the death of Falcone, and how it may lead to him from clashing with the Crusader, having this bits before and during leading up to part 2. Now, I love the Batman film, and I'm very excited for any of the projects in this pipeline for the likes of this universe, and in Matt Reeves, I trust. Maybe we might even see an appearance of Crusader, as like the case of me and started talking about a case of, Pingu and the Man, but so far looks really exciting, and I'll be checking this out when the series releases sometime in the fall of this year. And with that, that's all the trailers that we have for this week.
Ladies and everything was strong. Call a bundle.
Right, so there's not that many news stories this week, surprisingly. There's about 3 or 4, but they're all very short. And our first story that was announced last week, but I forgot to mention at that point, but we have received some news of another addition to a slowly growing franchise. Now, as you are well aware, ever since the beginning of last year, that the DC universe is getting a bit of a reboot. After the likes of Flash, it's now being rebooted to a new franchise, and it's being held by James Gunn, known for the Guardians trilogy, and Peter Safran, where we'll be giving some ideas of expecting from part 1 that's known simply as Gods and Monsters, which includes some projects like shows based on Creature Commandos, Amanda Waller, and the Amazonians, as well as some of those films on Superman, which is currently filming, Batman, and Supergirl. And now it looks like another project is on the way, and maybe more on the younger side of things. As was announced on Friday evening last week that we are getting the film version, the first film of a team-up for this planned universe, and it's not with the Justice League or the Justice Society, but rather it's a much younger group, as you'll be getting a film version based on the Teen Titans. Now, this team is usually consisting of Dick Grayson's Robin, Raven, Beast Boy, Starfire, and Cyborg, with some other known members of the team, and it seems their share of projects over the years, including a beloved animated series from the 2000s, a reboot to the series that went too meta and people really still don't like, that I'm aware of, that also got a film version in 2018 that was decent, and as well as a live action form that went into a really darker form that was mixed as well. So a film version of that might have a bit more charm and flair, it seems like a good choice. Now, not much else is known on this project, but it already has a writer in the form of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow writer Ana Nogueira penning this project. It is also unclear of who will be playing the cast of adolescent superheroes, with most fan casts I've seen basically have Chalamet as Robin, Zendaya as Starfire, The Rock as Cyborg, Tom Holland as Beast Boy, and Jenna Ortega as Starfire, as fucking Raven. But, even when we can expect a release date, but once I hear anything, I will update you in a later video. But what are your thoughts on this announcement, and are you excited to see a Teen Titans film coming out from this project? And who do you see playing each of the main characters, and what other cast members do you think will be joining this team? Let me know what you think down below in the comments of who you think should play who. Now, from one planned new building universe to one that I did not expect to see happen being made into a universe, but we are talking on a project that supposedly is releasing in cinemas in the US next week, and this relates to the sequel of one of the films in my Halloween special from last year, which of course is the film of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Now, it was known since a short while after the first film that Pooh and his murderous friends were coming back for a follow-up to some new additions of Owl and Tigger joining in on the killing spree, and what I thought would be the end of the series after that, or even from concluding with a trilogy or something, how wrong my sweet little anxiety-induced brain and thoughts were. Because rather than just being the end, it was the beginning of a much bigger universe, as was announced earlier this week that we're about to see the dawn of what they like to call the Cursed Child universe, that will consist of these 2 films, as well as 3 confirmed projects in the form of Bambi the Reckoning, Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, and the Pinocchio Unstrung film. Now, I suppose they all coming out in the course of the next year, so likely Horrible Spore Part 2 is probably going to happen this year, and it's going to be a Cursed Child Universe edition. But it's not ending there, as we thought Infinity War was the most ambitious crossover. Well, let me introduce you to the big build-up film in the form of Pooniverse Monsters Assemble, that will see all the characters of those films, as well as characters from the universes of Alice in Wonderland and Sleeping Beauty, cross over with one another and clash against each other, and soon team up to take down those characters from the films that have wronged them or other means until they are all dead. Now, it does seem ambitious and could all end up sucking, which in most cases could happen, going off part 1's story, but on the other, this is essentially a much better established cinematic universe and already is ahead of the quickly ended Dark Universe from Universal. Remember that one that was supposed to be the Mummy, Invisible Man, the Wolf Man? I think they're still trying, but I think it ended quick. So, lest this doesn't fall apart very quickly, this could be the dawn of the new Dark Universe, but it's really hard to tell. But I want to know your thoughts on this Black Cinematic universe of screwed up childhood characters, and would you watch these films, and what are your thoughts on the ones that have already come out? If you've seen my video, you can check it out down below in the description of my Harmos Bore stuff, or in the annotation above. But let me know what you think of all this down below in the comments. Now, the next story that has been discussed this week is with the announcement of another new attempt of giving a classic project or piece of media a bit of an update. And this is based on an all-classic cartoon comic character that has a fond appetite for a particular type of green vegetable. As was announced on Wednesday that we're getting a new live-action version attempt on the classic cartoon character of Popeye the Sailor Man. Not much else is known on what the project is about, but the film is being written by Michael Calio, who was known for doing work on a small TV series known as The Sopranos. And this will be the second update in the live-action form of this character, following a film version starring the late Robin Williams back in the 1980s. Now, while the concept of this could be interesting, there is a part of me that wished that this was actually more of an animated film instead of live action one. And it was a case that we were supposed to get an animated Popeye movie from Sony Pictures a short, not too long ago, about 7 or 8 years ago. You see, there was even test footage of a scene of Popeye saving Miss Olive from a gang of giant thugs in a boat in the middle of the ocean that seemed to be well into production. The animation looked really smooth and nice. It had like that kind of Fleischer rubber hose animation kind of thing. Voice recording was done like had Tom Kenny as Popeye. It had potential, but it was shelved supposedly, and instead the film made in its place was the Emoji Movie. This is what I've heard online. That's the base of the stories I heard. Now, there is hope it could work out, but I also hope that the animated one has its chance at some point soon. But I guess we'll find out sometime soon enough when more updates on this project begin to emerge. But what are your thoughts on the new Popeye film, and would you actually take on the role of a character with weird muscle arms for this one? Who would you want to see playing? Let me know what you think of it all down below in the comments. And now the final story of this week is with some news of some possible speculation and discussions talking about one of the famous names in espionage. Now, as has been well aware for years, we have known of many types of spies. We've seen them over time, the manners maketh man. We've seen the ones that turn into pigeons. We've seen all different forms. We've seen the groovy ones, baby. But of course, the one that stands above them all is, of course, James Bond. And we haven't seen 007 action since Daniel Craig's final outing as the spy in 2021's No Time to Die. And there's been many a speculation as to who may be the newest agent to put on the suit, drink the shaken martinis, and drive off with the gadgets in the Aston Martin. And many predicted some choices like Idris Elba as the first colored James Bond, Henry Cavill, or even the likes of a female Bond. But now it seems like the search may be coming to an end, with the announcement of the new Bond may be imminent. And this is in the form of supposedly possibly rumored to be the actor of Aaron Taylor Johnson. Some have seen him as a potential, as he has a good build for the character. He's at the right age for them. He has some well-received performances, and so you can say the process of a James Bond was seeing his performance in the 2022 film of Bullet Train. I can see a bit. Kind of has that suave kind of Bond style look, but it could be a bit of a Cockney style thing. So I could definitely see a decent performance in this one with this choice. Now, it has not been fully finalized and is yet to be announced from the studios. And there could be others. There's some people still saying about James Norton, or I can't remember his name anyway, but like something named James. That it could be interesting to see how it all turns out. But once they get announced the moniker of the character 007, I'll update in a later piece. But what are your thoughts on the choice of this actor as James Bond? Do you see as potential candidate for 007? Let me know what you think of all this down below in the comments. And with all that, that's all the news that we have for this week.
This is fun!
And with all of that content, that brings us to the extensive end of episode 44 of Weird Mind Newsroom. I'm honestly surprised this goes under 20 minutes. I always surprised. I'm surprised it's 20 minutes. Anyways, I'm just going to give a quick few updates on some stuff. So, my review for Velma. That one is in the process of being edited right now. I've only done a little small bit. I've been in and out of stuff later the last week, but other stuff, just dealing with stuff, that kind of stuff. But I'm not delving into its own private, personal matters kind of thing, Take care of oneself as best you can. Besides that, other reviews will be on the way soon after. I'm considering whether not to do Indiana Jones. Do I do Wonka? Do I do some superhero ones? Do I do a rewatch-a-thon stuff? Do I do just like Barbenheimer? Is someone need to get in contact with to do Barbenheimer, get their thoughts and stuff? But I will get to those reviews. It's just that I figure out what I want to do after this one. Other than that, rewatch-a-thon will eventually come as well. I just want to have to find a time where I'm thinking, I'm tired of seeing what's on YouTube and other stuff. I'm going to sit down and watch the rewatch-a-thon, get the other bits done, and then record it. So it will come eventually. And then some other stuff, long form videos are coming along as well. I'm gonna figure out some stuff with gameplay shit. I'm gonna maybe start some new concepts as well. Have like just talk, like have like deep talk discussion points on different things, like, you know, opinions on stuff, or like, you know, talk on certain things, like things in the current day in life or something like that, but like not make it too overly political and more a case of just like, you know, personal matters or some other things, but I'll consider up down the line. But I think I'll leave the episode for there. I've run on long enough. It's gone past 12:30 at night and I'm tired, I'm stuffed with food, and I kind of just want to chill out. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed listening to my rambles. If you enjoyed and want to see more from me, then simply like the video and subscribe, as I upload new videos every single week. And, you know, as always, let me know what your thoughts of everything that was discussed this week, from the new releases, if you've seen any of them, trailers, what your thoughts on them, and the news stories, what you think of all different things. I'd love to hear your discussions. I love to have conversations with anyone. Just anyone up for talking, I'm all there for it. But yeah, I'll leave it there. So thank you all for watching, and you all stay being wonderful people, because you all are wonderful people. Have a great day every day, doing many great things, and keep being you, because no one else can do all the positive things that you can do. But anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next videos. Take care everybody, and goodbye.